Good morning. I
Good
have
morning.
notes, so hopefully I will keep this in the realms of where I'm supposed to be. So typically for Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, I bring all statistics, all laws, all the things, and it's just really been gnawing at me this week, partly from some questions that I had from last Sunday of not even necessarily questions, but people's perception. For one, there's a huge misleading thing of what we do at the center, but there's also a huge discrepancy of what these women are and who they are. And that's really been weighing on me. So I'm going to start out with only statistic that I have for you guys, and that is only of all abortions that happen, which are astronomical. 4% of that are for married women. So it's mostly single women that are, well, I would say unmarried. Not necessarily single, but unmarried. So that's where my heart is today. That's where I'm speaking from today. So backing up, I would just ask that, everybody in this room has sinned, and some of those have been really serious sins, and some not as big. But with that being said, those things are hidden in you. And for you to go out and put that out to the world would be huge. For you to wear a shirt that said, "This is what I did," would be difficult. And that's what these women are dealing with. They are embarrassed. Whether they're saved or whether they're not, which there are a lot of women within churches that do have abortions, which actually makes it worse. You would think that it wouldn't, but they are embarrassed. They know that what they've done, that's weighing on their heart. They know that that's a sin, whether they know it's a sin or whether it's just really weighing on them. So they go into this process with fear and with stress and knowing that they're going to disappoint people. They technically, if they broke down a pregnancy, yes, they know that a baby comes from this. At this moment in time, they're only looking at pregnancy as pregnancy, nothing more. Not a life growing inside of them, not a baby, not a heartbeat, nothing. These women are not monsters. They are not going into this wanting to destroy life. They're wanting to get out of a situation. And the intervention out there is, it's difficult. On one hand, they have all of this stuff saying, you can take a pill and this is going to go away. And no one needs to know. We can just make this stop. And then they have, hopefully, us as that other intervention. So when I was 16, I found out I was pregnant, and I went through the exact same thing. If you would have asked me what comes of a pregnancy, of course I knew it was a baby. But in that moment, the only thing I knew was that I was in trouble. Basically, I had been caught. And I did not want to do that to my parents. The thought of telling my grandpa that I was pregnant literally made me sick. So before I had told anybody that I was pregnant, this was back in the day, mind you, I'm getting older, I went to the yellow pages. And I looked up abortion. I honestly don't remember what I found. I really don't. I don't know if Planned Parenthood was there. I don't know if there was pregnancy centers listed. I couldn't tell you. I just knew that somehow I needed to figure out how to get to Grand Junction and get this done before my parents found out. By the grace of God, I had a great deal of intervention. The first person that I told was a very good friend of mine. And she said, there's worse things. And I just had an abortion and it was horrible. And none of us had known that because she hadn't told a soul. And she said, don't do it. And so I was like, oh, okay. I was still weighing my options. The coworker that bought me the pregnancy test, who could recognize pregnancy symptoms in me that I couldn't even recognize in myself, said, "You're going to really disappoint your family, but when this baby comes, they're not even going to remember it." Okay. Again, still like weighing my options. At this point in time, I hadn't even told the dad. So we had, and it was like literally person after person after person that I was just like, I needed direction. I needed somebody to say, this is okay. Go ahead and go to Junction. I needed that. And it was literally even, our principal. I was violently sick and in a weights class with the football coach being the teacher, and I didn't want him to know. I didn't want it to get back to Sam. I needed out of this class. And I went to the principal and I said, "You got to get me out of this class." And he said, "Well, we don't just take you out of a class because you don't like it." And I told him, I just blurted it out and I said, "I'm pregnant." And I remember he sat back in his chair and he put his hands behind his head and he said, "I'm going to venture out and say that Sam Anderson is probably the dad of this baby. Is that right?" And I said, "Yes." And again, still hadn't told Sam at that point. And this principal said, "I will be there when you tell your parents, if that's what you need. If you need a place to go, I will come get you. You are safe." It was just thing after thing after thing. It is what finally solidified my decision to keep my child. Was driving to work one day and I passed a church sign that said, "A child is God's greatest gift." So anyway, there I was. That was the moment that it all came together, that this was no longer a pregnancy, that this was a child. And by the grace of God, I kept him, and he's an amazing young man, and we were able to get married and have, as I know you all know, an amazing family, and that was God. God did that. It was the Holy Spirit that touched me that day. It wasn't all of those other people. It was the Holy Spirit. So with that being said, we are that intervention. We are that, hopefully, that spot to just calm somebody's heart and say, "You are okay. You are not alone. We love you." But then to point out what the truth is. That the truth is that this is a child. That this child has a soul. That this child has a beating heart. That this child, whether you were meant to parent this child, you are meant to carry this child. God has put that in the works for you. So we are there for that. Now, we do have to speak on the side of abortion. We do tell these girls what an abortion is. We do go through the legalities of what that looks like. We do not hold information back. That is hard for us to discuss, and it's hard for them to hear. But it would be unfair for us to let them know what the truth is of what this looks like. So I just wanted to give a little bit of empathy to the side of these women and these girls coming in. I have yet to speak with a woman that has come in for pregnancy coaching that was just like, matter of fact. No one ever comes to us like that. They are scared. They're a nervous wreck. I have had women walk through the door and just stand there and cry. This is hard. This is really hard. And they don't take this decision lightly. But they don't know what this decision is. And they have so much of the world telling them it's not really that big of a deal. It's not really that big of a decision, and they also are not forthcoming about what this abortion actually is. The abortion pill is inducing labor. And if you have ever been in labor or known a woman that has been in labor, that is no joke. And labor is labor, whether that baby is this big or fully grown. And it is incredibly dangerous. Planned Parenthood on the daily is withholding a great deal of information and truth to what this is. And that is a battle that we are constantly up against. They look at us and they say, unfortunately, we don't do ultrasounds, and I pray that we get to that point. But people say, well, you know, you give ultrasounds and they give ultrasounds, and you give information and they give information. You know, they're going back and forth. We're giving information out of the love of Christ and to truly give you the truth. They are giving you information to get you to perform an abortion. When we give ultrasounds, we want you to see that baby. We want you to connect with that baby and make that realization that this is life. There are little fingers and toes. There is a beating heart. There is a gender. This is a life. Planned Parenthood is doing an ultrasound to see how big their skull is, to know what size of tools to use. We are not the same. We are not the same. And it is a constant battle. Planned Parenthood bashes centers openly. There is a website called Hey Jane. They perform abortions. We'll send you the pill. They openly bash us. This is a huge fight that we are in. So I'm going to end with, you know, people say, okay, you've given us all this information. You've laid this on our hearts. How can we help? Obviously, we need donors. We always need donors. That is the only way that we run, is money from whomever, churches, individuals, grants, things like that. We need prayer. If you cannot donate, that is totally fine. We need prayer for people who can. We need prayer for, bless my heart, truly. I cannot write a grant to save my life, although I did one. I need prayer. I need prayer for finding that money. Other directors need prayer for finding that money. We need volunteers. We need volunteers for fundraising. We need volunteers to help man stuff at the center. We need volunteers to walk alongside these women so that when we do have a young lady that decides to keep a pregnancy, she doesn't feel completely alone. It's not a horribly common thing that these girls find themselves in these positions and then people just say, okay, that's it, you're done. Pack your crap and get out of this house. But it does happen. And we need people that can step up and say, I have an extra bedroom. You know, however that needs to look. Those are the situations that we need volunteers, that we need an empathetic heart to come alongside these girls and to help them. We need prayer for those volunteers. This is not an easy job. This is never easy to talk to a young lady that is considering abortion. It is not easy to think that she's going to make one decision and she makes another. It's not easy to accept a stranger into your home. It is not easy to take on these girls that you just want to shake because they have zero parenting skills. You know, it's hard. We need prayer for that. And we need board members. We're sitting pretty good with our board members right now, but that changes all the time. And we need prayer for those board members. Those board members make huge decisions, all of the decisions, in fact, with our pregnancy center, and we need prayer for those board members. If the only thing that you can bring to our center is prayer, I ask for that. To completely surround our center in your prayer is a huge help. God honors that, he sees that, and it's massive. And then I'll just leave you with one last story. We had in 2019, I think it was, no, it would have been 2020, when things were just crazy and we weren't sure if we were supposed to keep the center open or not, and it was weird, and I was just like, I'm by myself, like I'm going to open the center, and if people don't want to come or they want to wear a mask, I don't care, whatever, I'm just going to be there. And I got a message from a girl that said, I need to come in and do a pregnancy test. And so I said, absolutely, come on in. We did the pregnancy test, it was positive. And even before we had taken the pregnancy test, she kind of stopped. I immediately recognized her. She had gone to school with my girls from kindergarten. And I just try to, poke her face and no big deal and nothing to see here kind of a thing. And the test came back positive and she said, I can't keep this baby. And I said, okay, let's talk about that. And she said, my mom will kick me out. And I said, we went through the whole thing and I was like, can we just, they always jump to the absolute worst conclusions, rightfully so. But I said, can I be there when you talk to your mom? And she said, yes, please be there when I talk to my mom. And I said, okay. We got it all situated, but she said, I'm going to terminate this pregnancy. And I said, okay. I will love you through that. I will be there with whatever it is that you need. And I said, can I just take you through every aspect of abortion, just so that you know what you're getting into? And she said, yeah. So I told her, at any point in time, you can say stop. At any point in time, you can say, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to hear this information. And I literally took her from chemical abortion, which is an abortion pill, all the way through late-term abortion. We looked at everything, every stage, how it's done, side effects, everything. And after every single step, I said, are you okay? Sure you want to keep going? Yep, I do. When we got done, I gave her a ride home. She asked me if I was Lindsay Anderson's mom. I said, yes, I am. But that changes nothing. That changes literally nothing. I love you just the same. Nothing will leave this center. And I never heard from her again. And every single time I passed by that house. And so before we had even gone through the steps of abortion, I was like, just fill out this paperwork. And I'm going to just step around the corner, get some stuff done. And I literally stepped around the corner. I was like, oh man. I was like, Lord, please ban Satan from this moment. Do not let him in this center. Like, bring this Holy Spirit down on this girl. And like I said, she left and I didn't see her again. And I would go for walks and I'd pass by her house and I'd pray for her. And I had told her, I said, if you go through this, we're still here and we have post-abortion healing and I'm here for you and I will love on you no matter what. And it weighed on me. And I thought, what did I not say? What should I have said? It's a very heavy thing to carry. And that next spring, she came in and she had this little pregnant belly and I about died. And I was like, hey, because she came in with her grandma. And so I was like I had never seen her before. And I was like, how can I help you? But on the inside, I was just absolutely dying. I was screaming. And she gave birth in June to a little boy. So yeah, we are here for a reason. And we don't always have those outcomes. I wish that we did. I wish that I had every single story that they chose to keep their baby. And unfortunately they don't. And it's hard. It's really hard. So again, we just need prayer, constant prayer. Because when they choose to not keep that baby, it's hard on every single person at the center. So, and we know. We know when their due date was and about how big that belly should be, and then you see them at the grocery store and there's no belly. So, but we try to love on them just the same. So that's my spiel for today. It's not full of statistics and, laws, and I feel like you guys know that. If you have any questions at all about those things, I would be happy to give you those numbers and all of that not so fun stuff. But I just hope that you walk away today with some empathy for these women and these girls that find themselves in those positions and have the heart to really pray for that situation. So, yeah.